This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 34 of the Wisdom by Wisa show on the Horse Radio Network. This is Mike Donnell.
I'm Casey Wilbanks-Coletti.
And this is Sofia Aguila. Welcome to Wisdom by Wisa on the Horse Radio Network.
This podcast is brought to you by the Western and English Sales Association, WESA, which provides the world's largest trade events for retailers, manufacturers, and sales representatives of the equestrian industry. In this podcast, we feature exclusive interviews with noteworthy Western and English personalities, retailers, and exhibitors who you've always wanted to talk to. Don't miss out on all the news for manufacturers and retailers in the equine industry. And I know Sophia is joining us today, but I have to just mention real fast, I cannot believe we're just a little less than 2 months away from the opening day of the 2020 WESA Trade Show, which is always so exciting, and which also means I guess we have to get through Thanksgiving and Christmas first, but nonetheless, it's right around the corner. And I just thought our listeners would like to know, Sophia, can you share what our plan is for the upcoming Wisdom by WESA episodes?
So with just 3 more episodes, including today's, we're now helping out to prepare everyone for the show. And I reach out to all of WESA's new exhibitors or exhibitors who have new lines at the upcoming show. And 3 of them will be featured in the upcoming 3 episodes. And I think it will be a good mix of just different product categories.
Well, and I bet the retailers would love to know how many new exhibitors will there be?
Yeah, so we'll be able to welcome 25 new exhibitors and 35 new lines. And the new product lines aren't just because of the new exhibitors. In fact, we actually don't count them twice, but also previous exhibitors. So we're adding new lines to the selection overall. And yeah, so there's always something new for everyone that's coming to the WESA market.
Sophia, just a question. Is there a way that people can reach out if they have any questions, from now leading up to the 2020 WESA show?
Yeah, so for both retailers and exhibitors, they can either drop a comment on social media or, again, just call us at the office or email any of us. Again, our Facebook account or Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts are at WESA Trade Show, so you can just message us there or just reach out through any other way. And we really just encourage people to reach out at any time, and we're happy to help out. And, of course, there's no dumb questions. Sometimes people actually ask us if we know of a certain person that carried a certain jewelry and they're looking for a buyer or exhibitor XY. And so really, we huddle around the floor plan and try to figure those kinds of things out for buyers too. So yeah, really just happy to help with any other questions. And yeah.
Great. That's a very important part of this. Well, we have another great show. You've lined up another great guest for us to talk to today, and we'll get on and let Mike introduce that guest.
Bagman LLC got its start 20 years ago, providing ag equipment to the dairy farming industry in western Wisconsin. Gradually, its product line expanded into work clothing, including rubber work boots. While this footwear was well suited to the cold, wet Wisconsin winters, there was a product missing: a rubber work boot suitable for riding. That's when the company decided to design its own rubber riding boot and reached an agreement to have the same company that produces the Quattro line of boots produce its Quattro Ranchero, which has become one of its most popular products and extends its market to the equine industry everywhere. Bagman's account manager, Eric Von Deylen, joins us to tell that story. Eric, welcome to Wisdom by WESA.
Well, hello, Mike and Casey, and thanks for the opportunity to talk about our boot program.
You betcha. Interesting. Hey, Bagman LLC doesn't sound like a footwear company. So why don't you go back to the beginning, give us a transition with the success the company has had in other businesses, and then how you got to be in this particular product line and this particular product.
Okay. Well, I'll admit Bagman is kind of a funny name for a company that sells boots. But we have been a distributor in the agriculture industry since the early 1990s. Jim Couts, along with his wife Sue, are the owners. Jim was one of the first guys to get involved in the silage bagging industry in northern Wisconsin. Those are the big white tubes that you might see out alongside a dairy farm or some of your larger beef operations. His customers started calling him the Bag Man. The name kind of stuck. and they figured it was the perfect name for his business. Over the years, we became the Kelly Ryan silage bagger dealer for northern Wisconsin, the Up North plastic dealer for northern Wisconsin, and we also became the North American distributor for a product called Secure Covers, which is a green fabric that's used to protect silage bags, silage piles, and bunkers from damage caused by hail, birds, and animal damage. And you'll still see a lot of those product lines on our afsbagman.com website.
And then you had to broaden the product line, right?
Well, with all of those types of product lines, our core customer base way back when was always the dairy industry. And we got started in the footwear business back in 2009 when the Skellerup Rubber Company first brought the Quattro rubber boot over from New Zealand. And by the way, there are huge differences in rubber boots out there. You can go out and spend a lot of money on a rubber hunting boot or a rubber, what we'll call a rain boot, that isn't formulated for farm use. And if you wear them out in the farm lot with the animals in the manure, they're going to crack on you in a couple of months. And I don't want to get too technical, but I'll kind of explain how it all works. There are plasticizers, or what are called plasticizers in rubber, that keep it flexible. Things like the acids in manure or strong chemicals leach those plasticizers out. Once they're gone, the rubber gets brittle and cracks. Your better boot companies are going to add some synthetic additives that are going to slow that leaching process down and make the boots last a lot longer. So Skellerup had been making rubber farm boots over in New Zealand for over 70 years. They really knew how to make a boot that would hold up to farm use and be comfortable to wear all day. We were exhibiting at a farm show in New York, and they happened to be in the booth next to us. By the end of the show, we thought that was the best boot we'd ever seen, told them that our customers needed those boots, and we became a distributor. We've been selling boots ever since.
Okay, so now we have these great boots for dairy farmers and other people working in the ag industry. And now, lo and behold, we have a rubber work riding boot. Let's talk about that transition a little bit. And then I know Casey, who spends more time on horseback than I do, has some observations and some questions that she wants to know as well. But why don't you go ahead and let's talk about how this product, the Quattro Ranchero, came to be, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we started taking the Quattro boots to the World Dairy Expo back in 2010. And every year after that, customers kept coming back saying their Quattro boots were more comfortable than their other boots, they were lasting longer than their other boots, and they'd never wear their other boots again after switching to the Quattro. Awesome feedback. We really, really enjoyed selling these boots. And I was out doing my horse tours one day and enjoying my own Quattro boots. And I kind of said, you know, the horse people deserve to wear these kind of boots too. It shouldn't be just for the dairy industry. I think the equine world deserves to enjoy this kind of quality and comfort too. And a friend of mine had told me about WISA. We signed up and we brought full-size runs of the original Quattro boots for everybody to try on. So everyone agreed that they were the most comfortable rubber boot they had ever tried on, but the first question out of their mouths was, can you ride in them? And the answer was no. You know, they're a very comfortable boot. They have the greatest mud release outsole on the market, great rubber, but they're not safe to ride in. And that is when we started the process of designing the Quattro Ranchero. So safety was our number one priority. And everybody knows that one of the worst accidents that can happen is getting hung up in a stirrup. That's kind of why they don't recommend wearing a boot with any kind of a lug sole or any kind of teeth in a stirrup. And when I got to looking at all the other rubber boots on the market, one thing I noticed is that everybody had a little bit of tooth in their outsole or some kind of a catch point that could catch on a stirrup if they needed to fall out. And so what we did is we started with our regular Quattro boot. We kept all of those comfortable footbed qualities. We kept the quality rubber, and we redesigned the outsole to what we call our heel-to-toe, no-snag safety rail outsole. What this is a solid rail that surrounds the entire footbed. It kind of simulates the outside edge of a cowboy boot and kind of goes from heel to toe and back to the heel again. It's a very smooth flowing format, and there's no teeth that are going to grab on a stirrup. We then added a center rail that, along with that safety rail outsole, going to allow that boot to slip in and out of a stirrup just like a flat bottom boot. We added a little more heel. We added a wraparound spur ledge and a side gusset for bigger calves, or just to make it a little easier to tuck in your jeans. So now we have a rubber boot that is going to be comfortable enough to do your groundwork and chores in all day. It's going to hold up to farm use, and it's going to be safe to ride in.
That sounds like a pretty good idea. Casey, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and not just being around horses like you mentioned, Mike, but also being in cold weather in the state of Colorado. Very, very important product, I would say. Obviously, you hit the key and most important thing about boots and riding any type of horse, whether you're out checking cattle, whether you're riding pins in a feed yard, whether you're just riding in the winter, whatever it is, you have to be able to get out of that stirrup if you need to. And so you address the most important concern. But there's something else that I can think of, and it really brings ease to anybody that does anything outside with horses in any sort of fashion in the cold weather, because the most important thing I can think of is changing your boots. You go outside in the mud boots to do this and saddle your horse, and before you get on, you change the boots. And so really it's a time consuming product as well, which is we all know time is money these days, right? So I just think it's very interesting. I'm very intrigued by the idea, and I would love to know the feedback that you guys have received from people using these boots.
Well, I tell you what, we've got people wearing these boots from Alaska to Florida and from Maine to California, and the feedback has been tremendous nationwide. It's a boot that's easy to walk in. It's comfortable to ride in. It gives you just enough insulation where it doesn't overheat you in the summer, but it's going to keep you warm on a cold day of riding as well.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about the manufacturing of this product? I was reading on the website here, and it mentions that it's hand-built. And obviously, you've mentioned the comfort, but it goes on to say designed with the highest level of comfort, durability, and safety, which you've hit on. But talk about being hand-built.
Well, all of these rubber boots start out with a rubber sock type liner. And then the rubber components are all glued on one by one to create the boot. The boot is then put into an oven for a given time period, and that process is called vulcanizing. That activates all of the adhesives, glues the whole boot together, and makes it one solid piece of rubber, basically. And then Quattro uses kind of a balloon type test where they forcibly blow air into each of the boots to make sure there are no leaks. Mm-hmm. And before they get shipped to the States.
Eric, something else I'm just kind of looking at your website while we're talking and visiting and just researching myself. There's an ability you can wear spurs with these boots as well.
Well, that was an important thing to me, and a lot of the riders that we talked to, is that it would support a traditional spur mm-hmm. so that you could wear it riding. Now, we have what we call a wraparound spur ledge that will support mm-hmm. that traditional spur. That wraparound spur ledge can be used as a bump spur just as it is. But if you do want to use a spur, it works fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. That's a very important part for me. And there, as I'm scrolling through here, it talks about sizing tips. And I would like you to talk about that, because that is very important, getting the right size for you. And it mentions that these sizes, they tend to run a little bit different for both men and women in your regular sizes. So could you talk about that?
Well, over the 10 years of fitting people into the Quattro boots, we've found out that they run about a size large for men. Mm-hmm. So typically, if a man wears a size 10 shoe, mm-hmm. he's going to wear a size 9 Quattro.
Sure.
For the women, it's about a 2 size difference. If a woman wears a women's size 9, she's going to wear a size 7 Quattro.
Sure. Okay. Great. I have to be honest with you. I feel like I say this on every episode, but it's the truth. What I love so much about this podcast and the guests that come on is I usually end up buying a product the minute we get off the phone, because, and I mean that. And obviously, as I'm sitting here and it's November in the state of Colorado, definitely looking into getting a pair of these, which I wanted to point out all the things that are important that I'm thinking of, getting the right size, the ability to wear spurs with them. And I think another thing that we could easily mention is they're easy to clean and they're easy to keep good and keep in good condition. And that's so important because, as we know, just wearing regular boots out in the winter, snow or mud, they're just not going to hold up. And this is really a neat product. And I'd love to invite you to mention anything else that we haven't covered that you believe is important to talk about.
I can think of one thing. Eric?
Go ahead, Mike.
If I understand this right, you are the only company that markets this boot.
We are the sole North American distributor of the Quattro Ranchero.
So I'm not going to get any other boot that doesn't come through you. But one of the things we have talked about, you and I talked about earlier, is you are the only source for this high quality boot, but you are looking to add a distribution network through retailers to make it easier for more people to go to the store and buy one, although they could order one through the internet. But why don't you chat a little bit about your work now to establish a distribution network through retailers to carry this Quattro Ranchero?
Yeah, as a rubber boot distributor, our main goal is to set up a network of retail dealers across the United States. They're going to stock these boots so that their local customers can come in, try them on, get the best fit, and walk home with a pair of boots. We do have an online website called chorebootcentral.com that all of our advertising in magazines like the Working Ranch magazine or the Western Horseman magazine will all invite people to come to our chorebootcentral.com website, where they do have the ability to find a dealer locator, to find their local dealers, or if we don't have a dealer in their area, they can purchase the boots online from us and we can ship them out on a next day type basis.
If I'm listening to the show, if I'm listening to the show, Eric, I'm a retailer and I want to carry that line, what do I do?
Well, the easiest way to get a hold of us would be to call us at 1-800-796-5333 and ask for Eric.
And you'll take it from there.
And I'll take it from there.
Good deal. Okay, listen, I think we've covered most of that. We have covered the history of the company, how you got into the boot business, how you got into this boot business, how you were smart enough to carve out a niche that you can protect because you designed the boot yourself. And so now you're taking the next logical step that every company does. Let's find a retail distribution network so that anybody in the country can buy this product as easily as they can. And to us, that's a kind of a West of Sussex story. But let's talk a bit about your thoughts on how WESA helps brands like yours.
Well, one of my favorite things to do is watching the smiles that come on people's faces the first time they try our boots on. These boots are so comfortable. Nobody's ever had this type of a footbed on a rubber boot before. What WESA does is gives us the opportunity to bring size runs of these different styles to the show, let the retailers try them on for themselves so they can feel the comfort and quality that we talk about on our advertising. It lets them know right away why we are confident that their customers are going to like these boots just as much as ours do. It also gives us the opportunity to visit with the retailers, find out if there's any other additional boots that we need to be adding to the lineup. We get their feedback right away, and we get feedback from around the entire nation. That's the kind of feedback that we really like to see get at the WESA show.
And I'm guessing that as the January show comes upon us, anybody who's coming to that show can go to your booth and can find all of your products, but primarily, if they're really looking for it after this show, they can find the Ranchero.
Well, absolutely. You know, one of the things over the years, we've added a lot of additional brands. We've added a lot of additional styles. As you know, many of the Western wear retailers also sell footwear to the construction industry, the oil and gas industry, and many other types of occupations. And so we've worked with all of our brands to take their boots, make them more comfortable, add features and benefits that are going to be good for these type of different occupations. And it's one of the reasons why we've grown from 20 to over 350 dealers in the last 4 years, because people like our boots better. So if they can come to our booth at the WESA show in January, we're going to have a full lineup of the different styles that we wear. The Ranchero boot's going to be front and center in our booth. And we want people to take the time to stop by, try them on, and feel the difference, feel why we say they're the most comfortable boots on the market.
Well, we're going to try to make it to the WISA show ourselves, and so we look forward to dropping by and seeing this boot in person. But I do want to thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Good luck with your new product line. Good luck with expanding your retailer network, and we'll see you in January.
Well, Casey and Mike, thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward to meeting you at the show.
Okay, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
The show notes and links from today's show can be found at our website, wisdombywisa.com. And of course, we'd love to hear your feedback. There is a contact link on that website.
The Wisdom by WISA show will be published on the 15th and 30th of every month. You can listen on most of your favorite podcast players, and you can also listen on the Horse Radio Network app on your iOS or Android phone. You just search Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's super easy to use. Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom by WISA podcast. WISA, where the industry meets.